The stars had never looked more beautiful, and Wu knew that was a bad sign. He floated in the observation deck of the orbital station, watching Earth turn slowly below. The blue planet looked peaceful from up here, like nothing could ever hurt it. He was wrong about that. The alarm came at 400 hours. Red lights flooded the station, and the AI voice repeated the same words over and over. Unknown vessels detected. Unknown vessels detected. Wu pushed himself toward the command center, his heart pounding. He had trained for this moment for 15 years, but he never thought it would actually happen. First contact. The moment humanity would meet another intelligent species. Through the window, he saw them arrive. Hundreds of ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. They appeared out of nowhere, like someone had torn holes in space itself. The ships were black and silver, covered in lights that pulsed like heartbeats. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Get me Admiral Na," Wu said to his communication officer. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. Down on Earth, Na was already in the command bunker beneath Seoul. She had been expecting this, though not so soon. The deep space sensors had picked up strange signals 3 months ago, signals that suggested someone was watching, someone was coming. The alien message came through every communication system on Earth at once, every radio, every television, every phone. The voice was translated into every human language simultaneously, which should have been impossible. The aliens had been watching for a long time. "Humans of Earth," the voice said. It sounded like wind moving through metal. "We are the Galactic Council. We have governed the stars for 10,000 years. Your planet has been evaluated. You will submit to our authority. You will provide resources. You will accept our guidance. You have 12 hours to respond." Na listened to the message 3 times. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but everyone in the command center looked to her. She had fought in 3 wars before joining the Space Defense Force. She knew what ultimatums meant. They meant someone wanted you to surrender before they hurt you. "Get me the president," she said. "Get me everyone, we need to talk." The emergency meeting lasted 4 hours. Leaders from every nation joined by secure video link. The debate was fierce. Some wanted to negotiate, some wanted to submit, some wanted to fight. "They have hundreds of ships," the Chinese premier said. "We have barely reached Mars. This is not a fight we can win." "Then we die free," Na replied. She looked at the camera, her eyes hard. "They come to our home and make demands. They give us 12 hours like we are animals. I say no. Humanity says no." The vote was close, but the answer was clear. Earth would refuse. Wu watched from orbit as Earth's response was transmitted. It was simple. "We are a free species. We will not submit. Leave our system in peace or face the consequences." For a moment, nothing happened. Wu allowed himself to hope. Maybe the aliens would respect their courage. Maybe they would leave. Maybe there would be peace. Then the bombardment began. The alien ships fired beams of pure energy. They were precise, surgical. They hit military bases first. Wu watched helplessly as Seoul disappeared in a flash of white light. 1 second the city was there, millions of lights in the darkness. The next second there was only fire. Mumbai went next, then New York. Each strike took less than a second. Each strike killed millions. Wu heard screaming on the communication channels, reports flooding in from every continent. The aliens weren't trying to conquer Earth. They were trying to break it, to make humans so afraid that they would beg to surrender. 30 million dead, someone reported. First hour, 30 million. Na's face appeared on Wu's screen. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steel. "Commander Wu, you have your orders. Protocol Chimera is now active. Do you understand?" Wu felt ice in his stomach. Protocol Chimera, the last resort, the option they had built but never wanted to use. "Yes, Admiral, I understand." "Then get to the moon," Na said. "Get to Tranquility Prime, and may God forgive us for what we're about to do." The station had emergency shuttles. Wu grabbed 15 crew members and ran. Behind them, Earth burned. The aliens were systematic, hitting every major city. They would leave the small towns alone for now. They wanted survivors to see the destruction. They wanted humans to know what resistance cost. The shuttle flew toward the moon's dark side. Wu had been to Tranquility Prime only twice before. It was humanity's deepest secret. A base built over 30 years, hidden in craters and underground tunnels. The politicians called it a backup plan. The military called it something else. A weapon was waiting for them at the base entrance. He was older than Wu, with gray in his hair and scars on his hands. He had been stationed at Tranquility Prime for 5 years, maintaining systems that he hoped would never be activated. "Welcome to the end of the world," said. He tried to smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I got my orders 30 minutes ago. The factories are already warming up." "What factories?" one of Wu's crew asked. Led them deeper into the base. The corridors were clean and cold, lit by blue emergency lights. They walked for 10 minutes before reaching the main chamber. When the doors opened, Wu understood why the aliens had made a terrible mistake. The chamber was enormous, stretching for miles underground, and it was filled with machines. Thousands of construction units, assembly lines, robotic arms. Everything was automated, powered by fusion reactors that humanity had secretly perfected 20 years ago. The world thought fusion was still experimental. The world was wrong. "We've been preparing for this since the Cold War," explained. "Every nation contributed, every secret budget. We built this place because we knew that someday we might face something we couldn't negotiate with, something that wanted us dead." On the screens, Wu could see similar facilities activating all over the solar system, under the Pacific Ocean, in the asteroid belt, on Mars, dozens of hidden bases, all beginning to produce the same thing. "War machines." "How long until the first units are ready?" Wu asked. 72 hours, said. "The aliens expect us to surrender within days. Instead, we're going to show them what humanity does when you threaten our home." Wu looked at the screens again. Earth was still burning. 30 million dead in the first hour. The number would rise, but the aliens had made their mistake. They thought humans were weak because they fought among themselves. They thought humans were primitive because they hadn't left their solar system. They were about to learn the truth. Humans fought among themselves because they were good at fighting. They stayed in their solar system because they were busy building weapons, not exploring. The Galactic Council had ruled for 10,000 years. They had destroyed 43 civilizations that refused to submit. They expected Earth to be number 44. As the machines began to hum and the factories came to life, Wu made a silent promise to the 30 million dead. The galaxy thought humanity would break. The galaxy would learn what happened when you pushed too hard. Earth was going to push back, and the galaxy would never be the same. One had not slept in 3 days. She didn't plan to sleep anytime soon. The laboratory under the Pacific Ocean was cold and bright, filled with the sound of machines working without rest. On her screens, she watched the production numbers climb higher every hour. 5 million drones, 10 million, 15 million. "Doctor, you need to rest," her assistant said. The young man looked worried. "You'll collapse." "I'll rest when they're all dead," one replied. She didn't look away from the screens. She had 3 sisters. All of them lived in Seoul, past tense. Lived. Now they were ash, scattered by the alien bombardment. The drones were small, about the size of a refrigerator. Each one carried a shaped nuclear charge and enough fuel to reach anywhere in the solar system. They had no life support, no cockpit, no wasted space. Just engines, weapons, and a quantum computer that could think faster than any alien. The beautiful thing about the drones was that they could be built fast. No training needed. No years of education. Just raw materials going in one end, war machines coming out the other. The factories ran 24 hours a day, pulling resources from automated mines on the moon and asteroids. Humanity had turned every factory, every resource, every piece of technology toward one purpose: making the aliens pay. 72 hours since they attacked, one said. How many drones do we have? 17 million and counting, her assistant replied. Launch facilities are ready. We're just waiting for Admiral Nuss' order. The order came 10 minutes later. One watched as the first wave launched from hidden silos across Earth, the Moon, and Mars. 17 million drones, rising like a silver cloud. The aliens had sensors, of course. They saw the launch. They probably thought it was Earth's final, desperate strike. They had no idea what was coming. Wu Jin sat in the cockpit of his fighter, waiting for the launch signal. Around him, 14 other pilots were doing the same. They had trained together for years, but this was their first real combat mission, possibly their last. Red Squadron, this is command. Nuss' voice came through the radio. You are clear to launch. Your target is the alien blockade. Break through and clear a path for the drone swarm. Understood, Admiral, Wu Jin replied. He looked at the photograph taped to his console, his parents smiling at the camera. They had been in Mumbai when the aliens attacked. He would never see them again. The fighter launched, acceleration pressing him into his seat. 3, 5, 7, the kind of force that would kill most alien species, but humans had evolved on a heavy gravity planet. Their bones were dense. Their hearts were strong. They could take punishment that would crush other species. Wu Jin's fighter punched through the alien blockade at 800 kilometers per second. The alien ships fired at him, but he was already moving, pulling maneuvers that made the edges of his vision go black. The fighter wasn't designed for comfort. It was designed to turn a human pilot into a weapon. They can't track us, one of his squadron mates said. There was wonder in her voice. We're moving too fast. It was true. The alien ships were bigger, more powerful, but they were slow. They had to be. Their crews couldn't survive the accelerations that human pilots could handle. It was a weakness they didn't even know they had. Wu Jin armed his missiles and fired. 6 warheads streaked toward the nearest alien ship, each one carrying a fusion warhead. The alien ship tried to shoot them down, but the missiles were already there. The explosion was bright enough to see from Earth. That's for my parents, Wu Jin said quietly. Behind him, the drone swarm was arriving. 17 million small craft, each one programmed to find a target and destroy it. The aliens tried to shoot them down, and they succeeded. Thousands of drones exploded under alien fire, but for every 1,000 destroyed, 10,000 more kept coming. The aliens had never seen warfare like this. They came from a galaxy where battles were careful, measured, where ships kept their distance and fired at long range, where honor and tradition mattered. Humanity didn't care about honor. Humanity cared about winning. The drones reached the alien flagship, a massive ship called the Eternal Arbiter. It was 5 kilometers long, covered in weapons and shields. The pride of the Galactic Council. The aliens thought it was invincible. The first wave of drones hit the shields and exploded. Nuclear fire washed over the ship's defenses. The shields held, but they were designed to stop a few powerful shots, not millions of small ones. The second wave hit. The third wave. The fourth. The shields failed. When the shields fell, 10,000 drones were still coming. They slammed into the hull and detonated. The Eternal Arbiter broke in half, both sections spinning away into space. 4,000 aliens died in seconds. On the moon, Sangmin watched the battle from the control center. He was an engineer, not a soldier, but he understood what was happening. The aliens had made a simple mistake. They assumed that because Earth was less advanced, Earth would fight with less force. They assumed wrong. How many ships have we destroyed? Someone asked. 42 so far, Sangmin replied. The alien fleet is trying to retreat. Don't let them, Nuss' voice came through the speakers. Hunt every single one. I want them to carry the message back. Earth does not forgive. Wu Jin and his squadron pursued the fleeing aliens. His fighter was running low on fuel, but he didn't care. He had 6 more missiles and with 2,000 rounds. He would use every single one. An alien cruiser tried to jump to faster-than-light speed. Wu Jin fired his remaining missiles at the ship's engine section. The explosion caught the ship mid-jump, tearing it apart across 3 dimensions. The pieces scattered across space, some of them appearing hundreds of kilometers away. Red Leader, you need to return to base, Command said. Your fuel is critical. Negative, Wu Jin replied. I still have ammunition. He fired the until it overheated. Then he fired it some more. When his ammunition ran out, he looked at his fuel gauge. Not enough to make it back to the moon. He had known that would happen. He didn't care. Red Leader, Nuss' voice came through. Commander Wu Jin, return to base. That's an order. Wu Jin smiled. The Admiral knew his name. Yes, ma'am, returning now. He turned his fighter around and began the long glide back to the moon. Behind him, the alien fleet was scattered and broken. 40% of their invasion force destroyed in 7 days. The rest were running, jumping to faster-than-light speed as fast as they could. But humanity's message had been delivered, written in nuclear fire and broken ships across the solar system. On Earth, people emerged from bunkers to see the wreckage falling from the sky. Pieces of alien ships burning up in the atmosphere like shooting stars. Some people cheered. Some people cried. Most just stood in silence looking at the sky. One watched the battle reports from her laboratory. 17 million drones launched, 8 million destroyed, 9 million returning to base for rearmament. The factories were already building more. In 3 days they would have 20 million, in a week 40 million. The aliens had numbers, they had technology, they had thousands of years of experience. But humanity had rage, and rage, it turned out, was a renewable resource. Every destroyed city made more. Every death added fuel to the fire. The aliens could kill millions of humans, but the survivors would just fight harder. Doctor, her assistant said, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They want to negotiate. One laughed. It was not a happy sound. Tell them no. Tell them we'll negotiate when they're all dead or surrendered. Those are the only 2 options. The transmission that went back to the Galactic Council was simple. It came from Admiral Na, and it was broadcast on every frequency the aliens used. You came to our home, you killed our people, you thought we would break. You were wrong, this is not a negotiation. This is a hunt. We will find every ship that attacked Earth. We will destroy them. Then we will come for the rest of you. You wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. Congratulations. You've taught us that the galaxy respects only strength. We will show you strength. The message ended. Across human space, soldiers and engineers and scientists went back to work. The war was just beginning. The aliens had attacked with 1 fleet. They had thousands more. Earth had barely scratched them. But Earth had also barely started. The factories were running faster now. The shipyards were producing warships at a rate that would have been impossible a month ago. Total war, every resource, every person, every moment dedicated to one purpose. Making the galaxy learn what happened when you attacked Earth. Wu Jin landed his fighter on the moon, the fuel gauge reading 0. He climbed out, legs shaking from exhaustion. Another pilot ran up to him, eyes wide. Did you really destroy the Eternal Arbiter? I helped, Wu Jin said. The drones did most of the work. I just opened the door. He walked to the debriefing room, every step an effort. On the walls were photographs of the pilots who hadn't made it back, 3 from his squadron. Good people, friends. He would fly again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that, until the aliens surrendered or until he died. Those were the only 2 options now. The galaxy had been silent when the Galactic Council ruled. Now the galaxy was silent for a different reason. Everyone was watching Earth, watching to see if the humans could really do it, could really fight back against an empire that had stood for 10,000 years. In 7 days, humanity had given them the answer. Yes, yes, they could. Jin's job was to listen. She sat in a dark room filled with computers, wearing headphones that fed her information from across the galaxy. Quantum communication channels, encrypted alien transmissions, distress calls. Everything the Galactic Council said to each other, she heard. What she heard was panic. "They're everywhere," one alien commander reported. "We destroyed their fleet at Tau, but 3 more appeared at Alpha. How do they build so fast?" "Request immediate reinforcements," another voice said. "Human forces have taken the station. They gave us 24 hours to evacuate. They kept their word, but now the station is gone. Everything, reduced to atoms." Jin recorded everything. The aliens were learning what humans had known for centuries. War was not about honor. War was about resources, speed, and the will to use both without hesitation. She pulled off her headphones and walked to Admiral Nuss's office. The Admiral looked tired. There were dark circles under her eyes, and her uniform was wrinkled. She had been commanding the war for 6 weeks without a break. "Admiral, you need to hear this," Jin said. She played the recordings. Message after message of alien panic, fleets destroyed, stations captured. The Galactic Council was fracturing. Null listened in silence. When the recordings ended, she looked at Jin. "How many ships do we have now?" 2,147 warships, Jin replied. "Another 300 under construction. The orbital shipyards are running at full capacity." "And the Council?" "They're gathering at the Nexus system, their capital. Reports say they're assembling the largest fleet in their history, 12,000 ships from across their territory." Nuss smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Good. Let them gather. Let them feel safe. Then we'll show them what happens when you make humanity angry." One was given command of the Expeditionary Force, too. His fleet consisted of 20 warships and 500 support craft. Against the station's defenses, it should have been suicide. But the aliens didn't understand human warfare yet. The station commander contacted them as they approached. His translation came through perfectly. "Human ships, this is station. We wish to negotiate. We can offer reparations for the attack on Earth. We can offer peace." One looked at the communication officer. "Open a channel, all council frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." The channel opened. One spoke clearly. "Station, this is Captain 1 of the United Earth Fleet. Your council attacked our world without warning. You killed 30 million people in the first hour. You destroyed our cities. You tried to break us. Now you offer peace because you're losing. I offer you 24 hours to evacuate all military personnel. After that, this station will be destroyed. This is not negotiable." "But we didn't personally attack Earth," the station commander protested. "We were just following orders." "So were the people who died on Earth," one replied. "You have 24 hours, use them." The aliens evacuated. Exactly 24 hours later, one's fleet opened fire. The station had shields, weapons, reinforced hulls. It didn't matter. The human ships fired until everything was debris. The message was clear. There would be no sanctuary for anyone who served the Council. Bora worked in intelligence, breaking alien codes and reading their secret communications. She was good at her job, very good. After 3 months of war, she cracked the Council's highest-level encryption. What she found made her blood run cold. She took the information directly to Admiral Na. "You need to see this," Bora said. Her hands were shaking as she handed over the tablet. Na read the documents in silence. When she finished, she looked up at Bora. "Is this?" "Triple-checked," Bora replied. "It's real, all of it." The documents told the story of the Galactic Council's history. Over 10,000 years, they had encountered 67 developing civilizations. 24 had accepted council authority peacefully. 43 had refused. Those 43 civilizations no longer existed. The council called it necessary containment. They called it protecting galactic peace. But the humans had a different word for it: genocide. They've been doing this for, Na said quietly. How many billions dead? Trillions, Admiral. Entire species wiped out because they wanted to be free. Na stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Earth was slowly recovering. The fires were out. The rescue operations were finished. The counting of the dead was ongoing. She thought about those 43 civilizations, species who had looked at the stars with hope only to find death waiting for them. Send this to every news agency, Na said. Human and alien. Let the galaxy see what the council really is. Let them understand why we fight. The revelation spread across the galaxy within hours. Species that had been neutral suddenly weren't. Minor civilizations that the council had subjugated for centuries saw their chance. Rebellions started on a dozen worlds. The council's empire began to crack. And Earth kept pushing. 2,000 ships became 3,000. 3,000 became 4,000. Every shipyard worked day and night. Every resource was dedicated to the war effort. Humanity had learned its lesson. Never again would they be caught unprepared. The Battle of Nexus was scheduled for 3 months after the initial attack on Earth. The Council had gathered 12,000 ships at their capital system. They called it the Great Defense Fleet. They broadcast messages about how they would crush the human rebellion. Admiral Na led the human fleet personally. 4,000 ships against 12,000. The odds were bad, but Na had learned something about the aliens. They fought by rules. Rules about minimum engagement distances. Rules about targeting. Rules about when to retreat. Humans had only one rule: win. The battle began at 600 hours. The alien fleet moved in formation, beautiful and precise. The human fleet charged straight at them. No formation, no precision, just raw aggression. They're not maintaining proper distance, an alien commander reported. They're too close, they'll hit our shields. That was the point. Human ships slammed into alien shields at full speed, overloading them with kinetic energy. When the shields failed, the human ships kept going, ramming the alien vessels. Some human ships were destroyed in the collisions. The crews knew it would happen. They didn't care. One commanded one of the destroyer squadrons. His ship's engines were damaged, weapons offline. An alien dreadnought was in front of him, shields down, trying to retreat. He could let it go. He could save his crew. He looked at the photograph on his console. His daughter smiling. She had been in New York. All hands evacuate to the escape pods, one said. I'm going to ram them. Captain, no, his first officer said. We can make it back. Get off my ship, one ordered. That's a direct order, you have 2 minutes. The crew evacuated. One sat alone in the command chair, his hands steady on the controls. He aimed his ship at the alien dreadnought's reactor section. The engines roared at maximum power. This is for my daughter, he said. This is for Earth. The impact was like a small sun being born. The alien dreadnought broke apart, its reactor going critical. The explosion took out 3 more alien ships nearby. Across the battle, human pilots were making the same choice. Damaged ships didn't retreat. They became weapons. The aliens had superior technology, superior numbers, superior experience. But they had never fought an enemy that was willing to die to take you with them. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the human fleet had lost 1,700 ships. The alien fleet had lost all 12,000, not destroyed, not damaged, gone, reduced to debris and radiation. The Nexus system burned. The Council's capital, their pride, their symbol of eternal power, it was ash now. Wu watched the battle reports from the moon base. He had seen a lot in the past 3 months, cities destroyed, friends killed, but this was different. This was victory, complete, total victory. The council is evacuating to there, Sang-min reported. Their government is collapsing. Member species are abandoning the alliance. Good, Wu said. Let it fall. Let them know what it feels like. But even in victory, there was a cost. 1,700 ships meant hundreds of thousands of crew members, each one a person, each one someone's child, someone's parent, someone's friend. Victory was written in human blood, just like the defeats had been. Na returned to Earth after the battle. When she stepped off the shuttle, reporters were waiting. Cameras, questions. Everyone wanted to know what came next. "Admiral, will you accept the Council's surrender?" one reporter asked. Na looked at the camera. She thought about one who had given his life to destroy an alien ship. She thought about the 30 million dead in the first hour. She thought about the 43 civilizations the Council had destroyed over 10,000 years. "The Council will surrender unconditionally," Na said. "Every species they've enslaved will be freed. Every weapon they possess will be destroyed. Every leader will face justice. This is not negotiable. This is not a discussion. This is what happens when you attack Earth." The message went out across every communication channel. The galaxy heard it. The galaxy understood it. The Galactic Council, which had ruled for 10,000 years, was finished. But the war wasn't over. Not yet. There were still Council forces scattered across the galaxy. Still ships that refused to surrender. Still species that thought humanity would show mercy once the main battle was won. They would learn. Humanity remembered. Humanity never forgot. And humanity would chase every single Council ship until they surrendered or died. Those were the only options. The galaxy had gone silent when Earth retaliated. Now that silence was breaking. Species were talking again, trading, communicating. But there was something new in those conversations. A wariness. A fear. The galaxy had learned that there was a line you didn't cross. Attack a species on there and they might just burn your civilization to ash. Earth had taught them that lesson, and the galaxy would never forget. 8 months. That's how long the counteroffensive had lasted. Kept the statistics because someone had to. Someone had to remember the cost. 42 Council worlds had lost their military infrastructure. 200 stations destroyed. 6,000 ships eliminated. And 4 million humans dead. Walked through the memorial hall on the moon. The walls were covered with names. Not just the 30 million from the initial attack, but everyone who had died since. Pilots who didn't come home. Engineers killed in accidents as they rushed to build ships. Soldiers who died in the ground assault on Council colonies. Every name was a person. Every person was a story that had ended. Jinho found her there, standing in front of the wall. He was a sergeant in charge of a marine unit that had seen action on 12 different worlds. He had lost weight. They all had. War didn't leave time for regular meals. "I knew him," Jinho said, pointing at a name. "Park Min-ho. We grew up in the same neighborhood. He was a good pilot. His fighter got hit by debris during the serious battle. He tried to eject, but the systems failed." Wrote down the name in her notebook. She was collecting stories, trying to make sure that when this was over, people would remember. Numbers were easy to forget. Names and stories were harder. "How much longer?" Jinho asked. "How much more do we have to sacrifice?" "I don't know," replied honestly. "The Council is broken, but pieces of it are still fighting. Until they all surrender, we keep going." In the research facility beneath Geneva, one was working on something that made her hands shake. She was a scientist, not a soldier. She built things, created things, but war changed people. War made you think about things you never wanted to think about. The weapon on her screen was called the Cascade Missile. It was beautiful in a terrible way. A single missile that could trigger a star's fusion reaction, causing it to die prematurely. The star would collapse, then explode. Everything in the solar system would die. Planets, moons, space stations. All of it reduced to radiation and dust. One missile, 8 billion dead. Admiral Na came to the facility personally to see it. One showed her the simulations, the calculations, the test data. Everything proved it would work. "How many do we have?" Na asked. "3 missiles," one replied. "We can build more if needed. I can target the 3 largest council, hit their stars, end the war tomorrow." Na looked at the simulation for a long time. On the screen, a star was dying, planets were burning. Billions of alien lives were ending in fire. Quick, efficient, final. "If we use this, we become exactly what they feared," Na said quietly. "We become monsters." "They killed 30 million of us in the first hour," one said. Her voice was sharp. "They destroyed 43 civilizations, trillions dead. Why should we show them mercy they never showed anyone else?" "Because that's what separates us from them," Na replied. The debate moved to the military council. 50 officers, all of them had lost someone in the war. All of them tired. All of them wanting it to be over. "We can end this now," one general said. 3 targets, the war is over by next week. We save human lives. "We also murder billions of civilians," another countered. "Children, families, people who never wanted this war." "They didn't stop their government from attacking us," someone else said. "Did we stop our governments from making the weapons that could destroy stars?" Stood up from his seat. He had been quiet until now, listening. "I helped build those missiles. I did the calculations. I knew what they could do, and I built them anyway because I was scared, because I wanted my people to be safe. Do you think the aliens are any different?" The room fell silent. Wu, who had been listening from his station on the moon, spoke through the video link. "If we use these weapons, we prove they were right to attack us. We prove that humanity is dangerous, that we're the monsters they feared." "Maybe we are," Jinho said. He was attending the meeting because his Marines would have to do the fighting if the war continued. "Maybe they were right. Maybe we are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, but we can choose what kind of dangerous we are. We can be the kind that defends itself, or the kind that murders billions because it's easier." The debate went on for hours. Officers yelled, some cried. Everyone was exhausted. The war had gone on too long, too many dead, too many names on walls. Finally, Admiral Na stood up. The room went quiet. Everyone looked at her. "We will not use the Cascade missiles," she said. Her voice was firm. "We will lock them away. We will continue the war the hard way. We will fight ship to ship, world to world until the Council surrenders. And yes, more humans will die. But we will die knowing we didn't become the monsters they claimed we were." Not everyone agreed. Some officers left the meeting angry, but the decision was made. The missiles would not be used. Earth would win the war without destroying entire solar systems. While the generals debated weapons, Bin was doing her own work. She was a special operations agent, trained to infiltrate and gather intelligence. Her mission was simple: get to the councils and find out why they had really attacked Earth. It took her 3 months to reach the planet. 3 months of hiding on smuggler ships, changing identities, learning alien languages. When she finally arrived, she looked like any other refugee fleeing the war. The councils was beautiful. Blue skies, green forests, cities that gleamed in the sun. It looked peaceful, it looked like home. Ben hated that. It made the aliens seem more human. It was easier to fight monsters. She found what she was looking for in the Grand Archive. The building was ancient, filled with records going back thousands of years. Security was tight, but Bin was very good at her job. She slipped past guards, disabled sensors, and found the restricted section. The file she discovered changed everything. It was labeled Prophecy of the Yellow Star, and it was 10,000 years old. An ancient civilization, long dead, had left a warning. They had explored the galaxy, cataloged every species, and made predictions about the future. One prediction stood out: a species from a planet orbiting a yellow star, a species of water and carbon. They would be violent, adaptable, and incredibly stubborn. They would either unite the galaxy in peace or destroy it completely. The ancient civilization couldn't predict which. So they left a warning: this species must be contained. They must be controlled. They must never be allowed to reach the stars freely. The Galactic Council had found this prophecy 1,000 years ago. They had searched for the species described. When they found Earth, they made their decision. Strike first. Eliminate the threat before it could mature. They had attacked Earth not because humans were weak, but because they were afraid. Afraid that the prophecy would come true. Afraid that humanity would either save the galaxy or burn it down. Bin transmitted the data back to Earth using a quantum communicator hidden in her sleeve. Then she ran. Council security had detected the breach. They were coming for her. She made it to the extraction point with 3 minutes to spare. A human stealth ship picked her up and jumped to faster-than-light speed just as alien fighters arrived. Bin collapsed in the ship's medical bay, exhausted but alive. On Earth, Admiral Nur read the prophecy with growing understanding. They attacked us because they were scared, because some ancient civilization told them we were dangerous. Are we, Wu asked, are we dangerous? Na thought about the Cascade missiles, locked away and unused. She thought about the 42 Council worlds where they had destroyed only military targets, giving civilians time to evacuate. She thought about the choice they had made, the hard choice. Yes, she said, we are dangerous. We're the most dangerous species in the galaxy, because we can build weapons that could destroy stars and we choose not to use them. Because we can be monsters and we choose not to be. That makes us dangerous, not to civilians, not to innocents, but to anyone who thinks they can attack us without consequence. The information was released to the public, humans and aliens both, the prophecy, the reason for the attack, everything. The galaxy's reaction was mixed. Some species saw it as proof that humans should be contained. Others saw it as proof that the Council had been paranoid tyrants. But everyone agreed on one thing: the prophecy had been right about one part. Humanity was incredibly stubborn, and when you pushed them, they pushed back harder than anyone thought possible. The war continued, but something had changed. Council forces were surrendering more readily now. Fewer battles, more negotiations. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when they were angry. No one wanted to make them angrier. Jinho stood in the ruins of a Council military base. His Marines had taken it after a 3-day siege. Not a single civilian had been hurt. They had been very careful about that. It was harder, slower, but it was right. Sergeant, one of his Marines, called. We found something. It was a memorial. The aliens had built it for their own dead. Names on a wall just like the human memorial on the moon. Jinho read the names even though he couldn't pronounce them. Each one was a person. Each one had a story. They're just like us, the Marine said quietly. They have families, they cry for their dead. Yeah, Jinho said. They are. That's why we don't use the Cascade missiles. That's why we fight the hard way. He turned away from the memorial. Outside, the sun was setting on another world. The war was almost over. He could feel it. Soon, there would be peace, and humanity would have to figure out what kind of species they wanted to be. Dangerous, yes, but dangerous to protect, not to destroy. That was the choice they had made. That was the choice that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. 1 year. It had been exactly 1 year since the first alien ships appeared over Earth. Wu stood in the ruins of Seoul, walking streets he had known his entire life. The city was coming back. Slowly. Buildings were being reconstructed. People were returning, but the scars were still visible. He stopped at a corner where his favorite coffee shop used to be. Now it was just a foundation and some construction equipment. The owner had died in the first attack. Her daughter was rebuilding it, determined to bring back a piece of what was lost. We'll have coffee here again, the daughter said when she saw Wu looking. Maybe not this year, but soon. That was humanity in one sentence. Not this year, but soon. Never giving up, always rebuilding, always moving forward. The war had ended 3 weeks ago. The Galactic Council had surrendered unconditionally. Their fleets were scattered. Their government had collapsed. Their empire was nothing but dust and memories, and Earth had won. But victory felt hollow. 4 million humans dead, hundreds of cities damaged or destroyed. The economic cost was beyond calculation. And for what? Because some ancient species had left a prophecy, because the Council had been afraid. Admiral Noah's addressing the new Galactic Assembly. Representatives from 200 species filled the chamber. Some had been Council members. Some had been subjugated by the Council. Some were newly discovered civilizations, finally allowed to join the galactic community. Nuh stood at the podium looking out at the assembled aliens. She had aged 10 years in one. Her hair was more gray than black now. Her hands shook slightly when she thought no one was looking, but her voice was steady. 1 year ago, your council attacked my world, she began. You gave us 12 hours to surrender. You killed 30 million people in the first hour. You tried to break us. You failed. The chamber was completely silent. Every eye was on her. We responded with force, with anger, with everything we had. We destroyed your fleets. We shattered your government. We showed you what happens when you push humanity too far. And now you wait to see what we will do with our victory. She paused, letting the tension build. We could take revenge. We could demand tribute. We could become the new council, ruling through fear and force. Some of my people want that. They want you to hurt like we hurt. They want you to know loss like we know loss. Nuh looked directly at the former council representatives. But we won't, because that would make us exactly like you. And we didn't fight this hard, didn't lose this much, just to become the monsters you claimed we were. She pulled out a document. This is the Terran Accord. It's simple. No species may attack another without cause. Military aggression will be met with collective response. No civilization may be destroyed for refusing to submit. These rules are enforced by a coalition fleet. Earth will lead that fleet, not because we want power, but because we have proven we can stand against tyranny. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species supported the accord, others protested. Earth was too young, too aggressive, too dangerous, but no one could deny the simple truth. Earth had defeated the Council. If anyone could enforce galactic peace, it was humanity. The vote took 3 days. In the end, the accord passed. Earth would lead the coalition fleet. The galaxy would have rules again. But this time the rules would protect the weak, not empower the strong. Wu was given command of the first coalition patrol. His crew was mixed. 5 humans, 3 former council species, 2 liberated aliens. They didn't trust each other yet, but they were learning. Captain, his alien engineer said. She was a Kelvin, a species that had been enslaved by the Council for 600 years. Why are you doing this? Why enforce peace for species that attacked you? Wu thought about his brother. Real one, not him. His brother who had died ramming an alien dreadnought. His brother who had sacrificed everything to protect Earth. Because my brother didn't die so Earth could become another empire, Wu said. He died so we could be free. The accord means everyone gets that chance, even former enemies. The Kelvin engineer nodded slowly. Your brother was brave. He was an idiot, Wu said, but he was smiling. Brave idiots run in my family. They patrolled the trade routes, responding to distress calls, stopping pirates, preventing conflicts before they started. It wasn't glorious. It wasn't dramatic. It was just work. The hard work of building peace. One had stopped building weapons. Instead, she focused on reconstruction. Her factories, which had built millions of war drones, now produced medical supplies, construction equipment, and fusion reactors. She was helping rebuild council worlds that had been damaged in the war. Why are you helping us? An alien worker asked. His planet's military infrastructure had been destroyed by human forces. We attacked you. Your government attacked us, one corrected. You're just trying to live your life, same as me, same as everyone." She thought about her sisters sometimes, the three of them laughing in a soul dead now, ash and memory. The pain never went away, but she had learned to carry it, to use it. Her sisters would have wanted her to build, not destroy. The factories ran day and night, but now they built peace instead of war. Jin was monitoring the galactic communication channels again. But now, instead of panic and fear, she heard trade negotiations, cultural exchanges, species talking to each other for the first time without the Council's interference. The galaxy was healing. "We're getting a message from the Kelvin," her assistant said. "They want to thank Earth for freeing them." "Add it to the file," Jin replied. The file was getting large. Hundreds of messages from dozens of species, some grateful, some angry, some just confused. The galaxy was figuring out what life looked like without the Council. Wu Jin had survived the war. Against all odds, he had made it through every battle. Now he was training new pilots, kids who had signed up after the war, wanting to be heroes. "Flying is easy," he told them. "Surviving is hard, and knowing when not to fly is hardest of all." One young pilot raised her hand. "Sir, would you do it again? If you could go back knowing what you know now, would you still fight?" Wu Jin thought about his parents, dead in Mumbai. He thought about one who had died ramming an enemy ship. He thought about all the names on the memorial walls. "Yes," he said, "because the alternative was slavery or death. We chose to fight, and we won, but winning cost us everything. That's the lesson. War always costs everything, so you do everything possible to avoid it, and if you can't avoid it, you end it as fast as possible." The young pilots listened carefully. They had grown up during the war. They had seen the cities burn. They knew the cost. "We're the defenders now," Wu Jin continued. "The galaxy looks to us. They're afraid of us, and that's good. Fear prevents wars, but they also need to respect us. That means we follow the rules we created. We protect the weak. We prevent aggression. We show them that strength can be used for good." The training continued. The coalition fleet grew. Earth built more ships, but not for conquest, for defense, for protection, for the promise they had made. Jinho visited the memorial on Luna one last time before his discharge. He was going home, back to Earth, back to his family. His war was over. He stood in front of the wall reading names, friends, comrades, heroes, each one a story that had ended so others could continue. "We did it," he said quietly. "We won, and we didn't become monsters. I hope that matters. I hope you'd be proud." The memorial didn't answer, but Jinho felt lighter as he walked away. The dead could rest now. Earth was safe. The galaxy was at peace, and humanity had proven something important. They could be fierce when necessary, but they could also be kind when possible. Admiral Na retired 6 months after the war ended. She was only 53, but she looked 70. War aged you in ways that time alone couldn't match. She moved to a small house near the coast, far from military bases and political centers. People came to visit her sometimes, politicians asking for advice, soldiers thanking her for her leadership, reporters wanting interviews. She turned most of them away. She had done her duty. Now she wanted peace. But she kept one tradition. Every morning she stood on her porch and looked at the sky, watching the stars, remembering the year when humanity had reached out to touch them and found not friends but enemies, the year they had fought back and won. "Was it worth it?" a reporter asked her once, sneaking past her security. 4 million dead, countless more injured, the economic damage, was victory worth that cost? Na had looked at the reporter for a long time. Ask the 43 civilizations the Council destroyed over the. Ask the trillions they murdered. Ask the species they enslaved. If we hadn't fought, we would have been number 44. So yes, it was worth it, because we survived, because we're free, because we chose our own path. The reporter had left, the story was published, and humanity moved forward. 5 years after the war, Earth had rebuilt. The cities were restored. The economy was recovering. Children were being born who would never remember the bombardment, who would grow up in a galaxy where Earth was respected, feared, and trusted. Wu was back in orbit commanding a space station. But this one wasn't military. It was a trade hub where species came to exchange goods, culture, and ideas. He watched ships from 100 worlds dock at his station every day. "Do you think they've learned?" his first officer asked. She was young, hadn't lived through the war. "Do you think they understand?" "They understand that we're dangerous," Wu replied. "They understand that pushing us is a mistake, but more importantly, they're learning that we're fair, that we keep our word, that we protect those who can't protect themselves." He looked out at the stars. "We wanted to explore them peacefully. They made us do it violently, but now we're here, and we're not going anywhere." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Earth's retaliation had been so fierce that an empire fell, so complete that the galaxy went silent. And in that silence, humanity had spoken, not with threats, not with aggression, but with a simple message. "Leave us in peace and we'll leave you in peace. Attack us and we'll show you what humans do when they're pushed too far. Harm the innocent and we'll stop you." The message was clear, the message was simple, and the galaxy listened. Because they had learned what happened when you made humanity angry. The Council had learned. The galaxy had learned, and they would never forget. Earth stood watch over the galaxy now, not as conquerors, not as masters, but as guardians, ready to defend, ready to protect, ready to fight if necessary. But hopping, always hopping, that the fight would never come again. The war was over, peace had begun, and humanity had proven that they deserved their place among the stars, not because they were the strongest, but because they were strong enough to choose mercy when they could have chosen revenge. That was Earth's true victory. That was the lesson the galaxy would remember. Humanity had been fierce when necessary, but they had been kind when possible. And that made all the difference.